Morning, everyone. It's so nice to be here. Hope you enjoyed a very nice Diwali. And today we're sort of focusing on, instead of cleaning our physical house and lighting the lamps outside our own homes, is sort of like how to clean our inner house and light the lamps within us. And so it's interesting that after these holidays, when we've been focusing on Divine Mother and her light and her expansiveness, and we've also been perhaps reading the Ramayana or thinking about Lord Rama and his, victorious re-entry back into Ayodhya, and we think of the lives of the great ones and the Dharma that he's taught us. And the Dharma also, the perfection that Sita has also taught us. And we think of the great saints, and perhaps we've even been reading Autobiography of a Yogi, and we've been reading the scriptures, and we're so inspired. Wow, I want to be like them. I want to be a saint. I want to become a saint. I want to have an omniscient consciousness like these great ones. I'm going to work towards that. And especially during these times when we've been celebrating the light, we want to bring more and more light within us. And we have such high aspirations for ourselves during this time and at the new year. And it's such a wonderful inspiration and then we come together in a group like this and we feel it even more. I feel so strongly that this is what I want to do with my life. And then maybe we go home and turn on the TV, or maybe we get together with family and somebody says something and we don't feel so kind and harmonious. We don't feel so saintly. We feel like, oh, maybe I'm just going back to that rut I was in before. And how can we keep from getting into those ruts? And how can we follow through with our aspirations of becoming a saint, of expanding our light? And it's sort of like we're on the highway, we're on NH8, and we meant to get off at Ifko Chowk, but somehow we were just driving and we were driving too fast, and we had the momentum that we just kept going and we forgot to get off, and somehow we're just seeing the exit and it's gone by us because we had this momentum going and we couldn't get over into the left lane and get off on time. And so that's kind of like the energy that's flowing through our astral body. We have a certain momentum already going within the chakras, within the lamps and the lights that within us, and they're already glowing at a certain hue. We're already vibrating at a certain vibration, and that's given us a particular momentum. And we're trying now to change that momentum, but it's so hard. How come it has to be so hard? So what do we need to do? We need to sort of change that momentum to a different speed, or change that vibration to a higher vibration that allows us to follow through on these aspirations of becoming more light, of becoming more saintly, more kind, more generous, more serviceful to others. All these things that we want to do. But how to do that? First of all, it's because we sort of think that we've had a mistaken identity. We have an identity card here that says, I am a human. I am a physical body. I must protect this body. I must protect myself. And so we make all these decisions, and we have these interactions, and we have this consciousness that I have to take care of myself, I have to take care of my family, I have to take care of my house. This is what matters, because if I don't take care of this physical situation, then I won't be secure, I won't be happy. So we spend so much of our life thinking that what's going on outside in this physical world is what's happening and what's important. And so that's why we got this momentum of like, I have to take care of the physical part. But then somehow we've been doing that, and that's not what's making us happy. That's not giving us fulfillment. So, okay, maybe I have this misidentification. Maybe I'm not really just this physical being. I want to be a spiritual being like Rama, like Divine Mother, like Yogananda, like the great ones behind us. So how can I change the vibration within me? How can I change the momentum that I have? And these lights that are light, how can I make them more bright? So first of all, let's stop thinking of ourselves as a physical being. Let's think of ourselves as a spiritual being. And the decisions and the actions that we've taken up to this point in our evolution, in our soul's evolution, have given our chakras each a certain amount of weight. And along the spectrum, that weight was either I am a complete physical being and all that matters is the material world around me, and on the other end of the spectrum is I am spirit. And what matters is that I am one with all that is. I am part of the whole. And all of our thoughts, all of our words, all of our actions have been somewhere along that spectrum. I am a physical being, I am spirit. So if we had so much momentum on the highway that we couldn't get off, it might mean that all of our actions and decisions and thoughts have been more weighted towards the side of I am a physical being and I have to protect my physical atmosphere around me. And that means I have to take care of myself. I need to gratify my needs, my sexual wants, my food. I want more food. I want to drink. I want to do all these things that's going to make my physical being feel like I'm happy. Or I'm going to try to control others. Or I'm going to try to be attached to the things that I have and get everything that I desire. All those decisions have weighted us more on that momentum on the freeway, why we couldn't get off. Why we can't fulfill our desires to be a more spiritual being and become a saint. So what do? We don't think that, we don't keep with that mistaken identity, and we begin to think, no, I actually have this whole energy body around me. I have this astral body. And how can I work on the astral body? Swamiji said that in the physical world, we have almost no memory whatsoever that we're a spiritual being. But on the astral world, we're very, very aware that our consciousness determines our experience. And so we realize we have to work on our consciousness, because our consciousness will result in a different experience. And on the causal world, when it's basically all thoughts and ideas, it's just the thought that we're separate from spirit. That's the only thing that keeps us from merging back in spirit. All we have to do is correct the thought that we're separate, and we can merge back with the infinite. So if I thought I was a physical being, now I'm going to think, no, I have energy. I have an energy body. I'm going to work on this energy body. And so with our spiritual centers in our energy body, Swamiji, Yoganandaji, they've told us that this is the area where we can work most on ourselves and make changes. So for example, if we're talking about the first spiritual center, the Muladhara chakra, instead of trying to just be secure in our physical world and take care of ourselves, we can be instead very strong as a rock and steadfast to our spiritual practices, to our lives, to loyalty to a guru. And instead, in the second chakra, we could be working on, instead of fulfilling our sense pleasures, we can be going with Divine Mother's flow. We can, whatever God gives us, we'll accept and say, this must be what my karma gave me. How can I work with this? How can I go with Divine Mother's flow? How can I creatively respond in a way that won't draw more karma into the lower chakras and weight me even further down on the side that I am only a physical being? So it's this way that we can work with our consciousness. We need to, perhaps with the Manipur chakra, we need to remember that instead of controlling others to make sure that I'm feeling safe, we're going to control ourselves. We're going to control our own reactions. We're going to control the energy flowing through us, and we're going to bring that energy upward to the spiritual eye. And as long as our energy is flowing upward to the spiritual centers, that weight, again, instead of being towards more physical, will be more spiritual. And in our heart, instead of being attached to things outside of ourselves, we'll be attached to being like the avatars. We'll be attached to holding on to Divine Mother. We'll be attached to experience light within ourselves. And then at the Visuddha Chakra, we'll be, instead of being restless and bored with everything around us, we can be wanting to expand our consciousness, to be more calm. So in every which way we look at it, we can take this momentum and on the energy level, start taking every one of our chakras, but also the spiritual centers, and in every way we look at life, start weighting things from the side of I am spirit. How can I remember, have this smriti of who I really am? Because we know that our consciousness determines our experience. And so if our consciousness is I am spirit, then it's very easy to change our behavior. It's very easy to be kind to our neighbor, to be kind to our in-laws, to be kind to others, because I no longer have to think I should be kind. Oh yeah, I forgot, I'm still not being kind. It's like you're already experiencing that you are one with all that is. If we're having that experience that I'm one with the ocean of spirit, our behavior automatically reflects that. And so that's what we want, is we want to be able to change our consciousness. And then we think, well, yeah, I know I should change my consciousness, but it's so difficult because I am in the habit of just thinking of myself. What can I do? And we try to think of all these ways we want to change, and there's like 1,000 ways. And every time I really work on changing one, then the other ones I forget about. Then when I start changing the other ones, I forget about the one I was already trying to change. So why is it so difficult? And what can I do about it? Well, that is the great key and secret, because if we want to really transform ourselves, we have to put out the self-effort. But Yogananda said, 25% is our self-effort, 25% is the effort on the Guru on our behalf, and 50% is the grace of God. So when we are tired of not being able to get off the freeway, when we have tried to change ourselves so many times, when we've made so many New Year's resolutions that we've broken, and we're tired of it, and we're actually suffering, and we're having pain, and there's pain in our lives because we've alienated others, and because we've just tried to be kind, but we can't, and we're just tired of not being able to change ourselves. There's a yearning that comes in the heart, and that yearning of wanting to be one with spirit, of wanting to connect with the light, of wanting to really be like Rama, like Babaji, like Yogananda. That yearning draws the grace of a guru, and it draws a guru to you. So it's, how they say, when the disciple is ready, the guru appears. So when we have that yearning in our heart, the guru appears. And universally, when mankind has that yearning, the avatar appears to guide us. So that guru appears to guide us. And even though we can't make all those millions of changes on our own, he has the power to change us, because he is one with the infinite. He already is one with all that is. He's already one with us. And he knows that we're one with him. It's just we who are confused with this mistaken identity. And so when we open up our heart, open your heart to me, and I will come in and take charge of your life. Please take charge of my life, because I haven't been able to do it. I have tried, and I have failed many, many times. So please take charge of my life. So he's one with spirit. He has this power and this spiritual magnetism that can change us. And so we open ourselves to him, and we allow him to come in and change us. And he can change us magnetically, Because all of those little vrittis that I was just talking about, all those chakras in our astral body that sort of right now are weighted towards I am a physical being, can be changed with magnetism, with spiritual magnetism of the Guru. So what's our job? One, we have to be like good disciples. And good disciples is having the humility to understand that we don't have all the answers and we can't necessarily change ourselves just because we say we want to. Because we have incarnations of making mistakes, and that karma is residing within that energy body. So we ourselves may not be able to make that change, but introducing the spiritual magnetism of a self-realized Guru can help us make those changes if we attune to him. So how do we attune to him? Well, one, we follow his teachings. Yogananda is one of the main teachings of Babaji, of Lahiri, of Sri Yukteswar, of Yoganandaji, of Krishna and Christ. Meditate. Meditate, meditate, meditate. When we meditate, we can open our consciousness to their consciousness and they can come in and change us. When we meditate, we slow down this whole restless activity and restless mind that's going on all the time, and we slow down to a stillness, to a point where we actually also have our own experience of I am stillness, I am peace, I am light. As we gaze up at the spiritual eye, we start to have our own experience of that. And when we start to have our own experience through meditation of who we really are, we are one with spirit. When we have our own experience, we begin to have faith, true faith, that the Guru knows what he's talking about, that everything he tells us is true. And that this is the reason why I came onto the spiritual path. You know, I may have come on the path 20 years ago, and my life was completely changed. And over time, after all these times, maybe, I thought I was going to achieve self-realization in just 2 or 3 years. What happened? Why didn't I? Is this path true? Because I didn't reach self-realization. Well, don't forget about that highway. We still have a lot of momentum on that highway. But if he says, persistence will free you, you continue to meditate, you continue to attune your consciousness to my infinite consciousness. Because what does the Guru do? He gives us that light that we are looking for. Swami Kriyananda uses the illustration of a house. The house is in the sunlight is coming, beaming on the house, but all the curtains are closed, so no sunlight's getting in the house. We open the curtains at the window, there's a ray of light coming right in. We just move our chair over to the window, we sit in the light, we sit in this ray of light, and we can receive the light. So when we receive the light of the Guru, means we have opened up the windows, we have done our part to open the windows. Means we're meditating, we're perhaps chanting his chants that says, I am the bubble, make me the sea. Make me the sea, I am the sea. From joy I came, for joy I live, in sacred joy I melt again. The poem Samadhi, again and again. He tells us, chant these chants, become one with the sea, open the curtains, be in my light. I can transform you into light, but you have to do the work of opening the curtain. You have to open yourself to me so I can come in and take charge of your life and make you one with my ray of light, which is the light of God. God's light shining through the Guru. And he always says, I'm just the channel. It's all God. I'm just the channel. And he gives us access to that. People say, it's okay, I can reach God by myself. And I know that I used to feel that way. I grew up in the West and we didn't believe in gurus, and I had a long time coming to the whole idea of a guru. But really connecting to the infinite sea, when we have this mistaken identity that I am just a body, it's a big gap to bridge. But if we can follow the teachings, if we can tune into this magnetic power that the Guru's trying to give us all the time, and we open ourselves to that power, then he can change us. You know, there's a song that Swami Kriyananda wrote for the Festival of Light. Thy light, we sing it to God, thy light within us shining has shown where freedom lies, from earthly walls confining to soar in freedom's skies. How oft like sheep we've strayed apart, how we've been lost. Now guided by thy ray of light, in inner freedom of the heart, our night has turned to day. What's day to the worldly man is night to the yogi. What's day to the yogi is night to the worldly man. You know, we start looking at our lives in perspective of what would the Guru do right now? Let me attune my consciousness to what would the Guru do? The Guru knows he's one with infinite spirit. He knows he's one with the ocean. Wave of the sea, dissolve in the sea. If we become one with the sea, whatever's happening on the surface, these little waves, they don't matter. The waves will be there. Before, we were so caught up in the waves. That's because we had a mistaken identity. We thought we were a wave. And while we thought we were a wave, we were so caught up in what all the other waves were doing. Why is that wave doing that? Why is that wave doing that? I'm really mad that that wave did that. We become one with the sea. We get to the stillness of the calm ocean depths. It doesn't matter what the waves on the top are doing. So maybe nothing else looks different outside of ourselves. Nothing else has changed around us. That physical world is still going on, but everything has changed because we're no longer looking at our lives from the perspective of a little wave. We're looking at our lives from the depths of the sea. We remember who we are. We are that ocean of spirit. We are spiritual beings. And the more we can keep this in our consciousness by attuning to the Guru, by having a life of discipleship, means follow their teachings and don't quit. No matter how hard, you know, we do these teachings and karma comes up. Maybe karma comes up. This is how we learn our lessons. That's how we change the vrittis in our chakras, because we learn the lessons. And then we grow. And it's not always easy. But if we quit, what's our option? Go back to the way we were before, where just complete mistaken identity. I'm a physical being and I have to protect myself. So don't quit. Persistence will free you. You are the sea, you are not the wave. Wave of the sea, dissolve in the sea. I am the bubble, make me the sea. God bless you. Where is it? It's right behind me. Okay. Right now.
We'll practice now some of the elements of the superconscious attunement ceremony written by Swami Kriyananda, and I'm going to ask you all to stand for a moment. And I'm going to ask you to gaze at this candle flame, but it's a very small candle flame at the moment, but it will get gradually bigger. And as you gaze at the candle flame, feel that this is symbolic of our devotion for God. And concentrating there, listen to these words of Yogananda Ji. I was made for thee alone. I was made for dropping flowers of devotion at thy feet on the altar of the morning. My hands were made to serve thee willingly, to remain folded in adoration, waiting for thy coming. And when thou comest, to bathe thy feet with my tears. My voice was made to sing thy glory. My eyes were made a chalice to hold thy burning love and the wisdom falling from thy nature's hands. My lips were made to breathe forth thy praises and thy intoxicating inspirations. My love was made to throw incandescent searchlight flames, to find thee hidden in the forest of my desires. My heart was made to respond to thy call alone. My soul was made to be a channel through which thy love might flow uninterruptedly to all thirsty souls. Oh. Please be seated. Let me also share a few words. One thing that we need to cleanse ourselves from is a false sense of self-definition. The thought that we are really very limited. When a bird grows up in a cage, even if you open the door and leave it open, often that bird is afraid to leave, it's afraid to fly out. Yoganandaji would tell the story of a frog. This seems to be a frog who likes to swim in the sea. Anyways, this frog loved to swim in the sea and had all the room that he wanted in this spacious sea. And he would lie on the beach in the sun and relax and enjoy himself. And often when he lay on the silver sands like that, relaxing, he would hear the sound of many other frogs, not very far away. And one day he got curious, he left his rest on the beach, and he started to look for where the frogs were, and eventually he found them in this very small tank. Hundreds of them crowded one on top of the other. And then they said to him, they said, "Oh, you poor homeless frog, you poor homeless frog, come and enjoy the hospitality of our spacious home." To them, having to climb over on each other's back, that was spacious because that was all they knew. And he started to tell them about the vast beach just over the hill and the vast ocean, and they could enjoy it all. They wouldn't believe him. They thought that he was speaking dangerously and eventually put him to death. And Yoganandaji tells us of that. He said, "Worldly man lives in the little overcrowded well of sense happiness, clamoring and shouting for a little peace and space of his own. He can't comprehend the experience of the spiritual man, who communes with God and roams the vast sea of bliss. Limited, earthbound man can overcome his limited self-definition only by merging into the ocean of bliss, which is reached by meditation alone. Leap out of the well of limitation and plunge into the sea bosom of unending wisdom and bliss, which is continuously roaring on the beach of your inner silence." the more we identify with that ocean of bliss, the less we're controlled by the world. Sri Yukteswar said, man is a soul and has a body. I'm not a human being. I'm a spiritual being, having a temporary human experience. And how can we expand into that? Expand our limited self-definition into something much bigger. Swami Kriyananda tells us we need to consciously choose self-expansion. Expansiveness dissolves limitations. It transforms every sorrow into joy. One way is to expand your sense of selfhood, to include others. To consider their happiness, their well-being, their success as dearly as you treat your own. Start with a family member, a friend, and then expand your sympathies outwards to the whole country becomes your own self, expanding to the whole world, to the infinite consciousness. He also says to love others first. Don't wait for them to love you. When you walk into a room, send out beams of love to everyone in that room, and they will feel it even before you say anything. And to serve others consciously as an instrument for the divine. And the instrument is blessed by that which flows through it. When we share love, we feel loved. When we teach someone meditation, we feel joy. And don't identify with your mistakes. That everyone who is striving for perfection makes mistakes. They're not ours. They're just something that happens. And those same people learn from those mistakes. And finally, don't allow yourself to be defined by what others think of you, what their opinions are. Parents are sometimes notorious in this regard, that no matter what you may have accomplished, what wonderful things you've accomplished in life, there seems to be a universal tendency among many parents to consider you rather a overgrown young child who needs to learn a lesson. Isn't it so? Sri Yukteswar, the avatar, his mother said to him one day, "Your wise words aren't for me. I'm not your disciple." This is human nature. Swamiji said, this self-expansion toward which all life aspires is of the spirit, an expansion of sympathy, of love, of the awareness that comes from sensing God's presence everywhere. And with that, let us repeat an affirmation together on this same topic of self-expansion. First, loudly, let us repeat. I feel myself in the flowing brooks.
I feel myself in the flowing brooks.
In the flight of birds.
In the flight of birds.
In the raging wind upon the mountains.
In the raging wind upon the mountains.
In the gentle dance of flowers in a breeze.
In the gentle dance of flowers in a breeze.
renouncing my little egoic self. I expand with my great soul self everywhere. I feel myself in the flowing brooks, in the flight of birds, in the raging wind upon the mountains, in the gentle dance of flowers in a breeze, renouncing my little egoic self. I expand with my great soul self everywhere. And now in a whisper, I feel myself in the flowing brooks, in the flight of birds, in the raging wind upon the mountains, in the gentle dance of flowers in a breeze, renouncing my little egoic self. I expand with my great soul self everywhere. Now mentally only bring this affirmation in for expansion into the superconscious. I feel myself in the flowing brooks, in the flight of birds, in the raging wind upon the mountains, in the gentle dance of flowers in a breeze. Renouncing my little egoic self, I expand with my great soul self everywhere. Om.